hope that this Sunday is going to be a little bit easier going than last week. So hopefully internet's sorted. Couple of things, of course, we're going to be doing the shirt today. Yeah, I've had a look through the pattern and I do apologise, I have made a little bit of an error, but I can show you how to put that right, so please don't worry about it. So here we go. I've got Macensi here. Here he is, and he's got his shirt on, and of course I've got the lady Macensi. She's here already with her dungarees. Oh, bless her. And of course I'm going to show you how to do the hands and the feet as well. Actually, if I just show you one of the hands, you'll see how hands and feet are done, because it needs a little bit of detail. So let's get that done first, shall we? I've got a bit of embroidery thread here. You can use regular thread if you want to. I've not put a knot in the bottom edge because we don't want a knot sort of sticking out. And the pattern, it does show that you've got 2 lines to go down here, just to sort of separate fingers and toes kind of thing. Hands and feet. So you see there, look, it's got this sort of little shape there. So she won't feel a thing, she's fine. So what I'm going to do first of all is, it doesn't matter which way around we go actually, let's go in here. Now of course you can mark it from the pattern, but I'm going to do this sort of by eye. And what I'm going to do here, look, is take it in until the thread has just disappeared, and then I can go back in that same hole. Oh, it's a little bit awkward without that finger. Don't laugh, it's not funny. And then I'm going to pull it up, but I'm not going to pull it tight, okay? Just sort of, because of course if I do that, it's going to come through. Back in again. And again, find that same hole. Okay. So this time I can actually pull it a little bit. And then another one. Okay, find the same hole. Pull it again. The same hole. And pull it again. Okay, so you see that we're getting, I'm just going to do sort of one more. You see, as it sort of builds up, it's going to change that shape ever so slightly. Okay, so from there, what I'm going to do is come in here, sort of come in, same sort of length, but you know, a little bit further along, and bring that out. Saves starting off all over again. Let's just take that bit out there. Okay, so same sort of thing, look, along. Let's find the level and back through the same hole. On Macensi, I used the same grey thread that I used to stitching with, so you can't quite see it as clear as this, but it depends what you want to do with it. I mean, we've got a little girl here, so we know we're going to go a little bit different. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And it's a sort of finish off. Oh, excuse me, I've got a runny nose again. What's going on? I'm going to put in, you see, I've gone back in and I'm going under, so I've got like a bit of a loop there. And then back in. I'm going to come out somewhere else. Okay, and then scissors. I'm just going to pull a little bit, snip it off, and there you go, it disappears, look. So that's what I do with the hands and feet. So I'm just going to move that out of the way, and I'll do the others a little bit later, because we want to have a look at doing the shirt, don't we? So let me just move these guys for a minute. Might actually need Macensi one more, because we want to look at the back of the shirt here. Now this is the first of the prototype, and you can see here I've actually got a bit of a pleat going on, and I have included that in the instructions, but when you actually see the pattern, you'll notice that, hang on a second, let me just take that off, that the actual back and the yoke are the same size. Now it'll still work, you can't put a pleat in there obviously because you need this to be a little bit bigger, but it will still work as a shirt without it. However, if you want to put that in, what you can do is, if you cut out the pattern, what you see I've left about 1/4 inch there, just so I can sort of, let me just get my friction pen. I've got everything here, I just, it's not always in the same order as I want it. There you go. So you see I've left a little bit, But it's entirely up to you. This is the regular pattern, so here you go, that's the one I've cut out. But I'm going to show you how to do the yoke. So if I turn it in, so the yoke with the pleat rather, turn it that way. If I then mark it, all right, I'm just going to put a little mark there. All right, you see? And then what I'm going to do is put myself a little stitch line down here. Now again, if you're going to use the pattern as it is, you won't need to do this because it doesn't have that extra bit. So you'll be fine just to sort of go straight in with the yoke and the back together. But I'm showing you this in case you actually want to do it, so it's the same as the original. So in we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch down, not too far, about, I don't know, ½ an inch. Okay, so I'm going to give it a little bit of a back and forward action now, job done. Okay, and that gives me, look, this little shape here. If I then open it out, you see you've got that bit there. So if I then fold it, you see, so I've got that going like that. So you see when I've actually got that together, see it forms a little sort of pleat there. Just looks kind of nice, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do is just give that a little bit of a press under the iron. Alright, you see? And then what I can do is put myself a little bit of a top stitch in there, so just to sort of keep that in place. One more, turn it round, there's one, there's two, so I'm on to the next bit now. And back up the top, don't even need to really sort of fasten that off. So you see I've got the pleat. So if you use the pattern as it is, you don't need to go through that process, it'll just fit with the yoke, it'll be absolutely fine. But if you wanted to, it's just a ½ an inch extra as I've just shown you. Okay, so that gives me that bit. So then I've got the two yokes. Why do we use two yokes? Well, it's what happens in all men's shirts, and then you get a nice finish on the inside as well as the outside. So here we go, here's my two. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to, the first one, you see, it's going to be right side to right side, like so. So I could even use my clips for that. Clip there, look. And clip there. Okay, that's my cutting out. It is the right size. I've had a little bit of an issue with, I don't know if you've noticed, with one of my fingers, so things are a little bit awkward. So then on the back, of course, when you want to see this, you want to have it so you see the pattern. So that's going to sit that way. Okay. So if I put that one in there, that one there, and then I'm going to stitch those two together across there. All right, so I've got all three pieces sandwiched together. So I'm going to give that a bit of a fasten. I could take that clip out now and stitch through there. Pace up a little bit of a back stitch there. Okay, so if I turn it the right way, look. That's what you're going to see at the back, and that's what you're going to see on the inside, okay? Okay, so it might be useful if you want to at this stage, you can actually just do a very sort of quick stitch around, just to hold the two together. I'm not going to worry about that particularly, but I'm going to stick a pin in it so I know that that's all done and sorted for now, okay? So I can put those pieces to one side, don't need to worry about those yet. So I think next one, let's look at the sleeves, because this can be a little bit tricky. I've got one here that I've already done to put this little placket in. And then this one, we've got to do a mirror image so you can see how it's done and how it's sort of finished. So here we go, we've got placket part 2 and we've got placket part 1, okay? Now, part 2, what it asks you to do in the pattern or the instruction is to fold over the top edge and then fold it in half, like so. All right, the placket part 1, don't need to do that. We're just going to leave that as is for now. So let's have a look. We've got to do a mirror image. So you see already I've done this side. You see where my line is? So on this one, I've got to do this side. So just to sort of give me a bit of a reminder, I'm going to mark the pattern. That's where my line is, okay? So that's where that line starts. So if I put my pattern piece on there, I'm going to fold that in half as it says, and that says fold into towards the centre bit. Okay, so that's that one. This one, I'm then going to sit over the top. So I'm just doing it enough, give me a bit of a seam allowance, okay? Nothing much. Okay, so I'm going to put a bit of, just a pin in that to hold them in place. Looks a bit weird, but it'll work out. So okay, in we go with the seam there. So noticing I've not got, you see, I've not got much of this, see, coming out. I'm just going to catch this in this side. So maybe I'll go over a little bit. Passing that off. And then going up, I'm not going to go right to the top. I need to give myself a little bit of, one more maybe, a little bit of leeway. Turn it over, and I want two, let's go through it. Into there, and then back down. Okay. So I've got that. So next little bit is scissors. Be careful to think where my finger is. Oh dear. And I'm going to very gently cut up that edge. And then see where I've got the top bit there? I'm going to come in and I'm going to snip towards the stitches that side and towards the stitches that side. So I've got that kind of a shape. So what we've got to do now is this needs to be folded on to the inside. So again, you think, oh, how on earth will that ever happen? It will. You see, we've got to come in. Just needs a little bit of manoeuvring. Okay, so I'm just going to iron that. See, that's going almost already. And then this, there you are on the back, is how it kind of looks. Give me a second. See, so that one sits sort of like that. You've got a little tiny little gap there, but then you've got a nice sort of seam there. This bit here, what I would do is fold it in half like that and press it, and then when it actually comes to doing the cuff, you fold that in place. So you see this one I've already done, already sorted. Look, so that's folded in pieces, and that one you've got a little bit there. So that's fine, okay? Excuse me 1 second. Okay, so that's sort of the bottom bit of our sleeve. I thought I'd get the tricky bits over and done with first, and then we should be okay to sort of carry on. So pattern pieces to the side there. Sleeves done and sorted. And back's done and sorted. So let's have a look at the front. So your front piece, now this is supposed to be an oversized shirt. With Macensi in his story that he actually goes backpacking and he travels, he's quite happy to have something a little bit bigger. So again, in the instructions I've mentioned a pocket. If you want to put a pocket on the top here, I've actually cut out a 2-inch square piece of fabric. I've folded the 3 sides over once, and then at the top, look, I've folded it twice, give it a little bit of a press. And then what I'm going to do is very gently top stitch that pocket, okay? Now you notice sometimes, when you've got a lot of seams, to start it off with, it can be a little bit tricky. But that's okay, give it a little bit of, lift it up and down again. And there's your pocket, so your top stitch is done there, okay? So then, depends whether you want it left or right. I'm left-handed, so I don't know. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. So I'm going to put it sort of on this one. So where do you want it to be? Look at the seam. Look at where the sleeve is here. And I've sort of put that in the middle space here and sort of halfway across the top there. Again, if you need to, a little pin in the place. No, it's not going to happen. No, my finger doesn't want me to put a pin in. There you go. So, stitch around the sides. So everything's very straightforward in terms of it's straight stitch. We're not doing anything really sort of fancy with that at all. The pocket itself, you know, it's a square, 2 inches, as I say. We've got that bit. So there you go, there's the pocket. So I did have, there you go, some my little scissors. I'm just going to trim my threads. It's nice to do that as you go. All right, that's that done. So then we've got a front facing. Okay, we've cut a pair of these, and what I'm going to do there is one's going to sit facing that way, like so, and the other one's going to fit this way, facing that way, like so. Okay, so before I sort of want to put those on, I'm going to move them down a little bit just so I know where they're going. I'm going to put a pin in so I've got them in place ready when I need them, because I'm going to put the collar and things in first. Okay, this might be a little bit different to the instructions. You can tell I'm not actually going from them. I'm just fitting the pieces in as and when. So here we go. Collar. All right, there's one piece, 2 pieces. So we're going to put them together, just making sure that they match at the points. Okay, one now. Let's put a little pin in there. I'm coming around this side. I do apologise for my cutting out. Goodness me. I'm sure yours will be so much better than mine. All right, I'm not going to do the top bit. I'm just going to do down the sides and around the bottom area. And I'm going to sort of do it. I always use my foot as my measurement there, so it's about a 1/4 inch. But let's make sure we're in there. Okay. Don't stretch it, don't pull it, because with it being on a curve, it might sort of move a little bit. We don't want that to happen. So that was my appalling cutting, I do apologise, but it's still within the seam. So we're okay. Oh, I just want to get those 2 points together. Come on. It's amazing how much you miss that finger. At least it's still there.
Only just.
That's a good thing. Oh, no. Yeah, it'll be fine. Okay, so there's that done. So what I want to do now is snip off the corners, all right, not touching the stitches, and then just to help me a little bit, I'm going to put a little bit of an angle going up towards that corner. Okay, take a little bit off there as well, it won't hurt. And then same on this side. So again, look, snip, make that a little bit less. We just want to reduce the bulk around those points if we can. Okay, so I'm going to turn it out, and same with that point. And this is where it's handy to have something to give you a bit of a hand here. Now, have I got one in here? Have I tied them? No, I've got them. Okay, here we go. So you don't want to be putting your scissors in. If you put your scissors in, if you've got a sharp point there, it could go through the fabric. We don't really want that to happen. But we do want a nice point there. Okay. So this is from one of the Prim tools, you know, it's one of the turning tools. They're brilliant. If you've not got a set, honestly, they're awesome. Even you use them, John, don't you? He's like, yeah, but I'm not going to admit it live on air. Okay. Okay, so you've got that kind of a shape. Now, obviously, this wants a little bit of a press as well. Normally with a collar as well, you can put interfacing in, but because it's so small, we're not going to even consider it. Same with the cuffs. It doesn't need it because it's so small. Okay, I'm going to roll it round so I've got that seam on the edge there. Press it in place. I'm sorry if I'm not talking to you, by the way. I have no idea what you're saying because I can't see it. And John's focusing on the camera. Keep it up with me, so. Okay, so here we go. There's the collar. All right. So again, it's all open here. If you really wanted to, you could come in and just inside the seam, you can close it. I just want to make sure because it's really easy now to that, but don't pull it, don't stretch it. You know, follow the shape. There you go. And that'll just mean that you've got both sort of pieces together when you need them to be. Okay. So let's get the back and front together. So of course, seams, top seams, shoulder seams here, this one and this one. So right sides together, right sides together. Okay, from there to there. Let's get that right. And in we go. All right, so of course securing at both ends. Making sure. Same with this one. So that's gone across everything there. I mean, if you want to be really particular, you could have stitched just one of the yolks and then you can fold the yoke over and you could have stitched it by hand and you'd hide the seam, but I'm not going to go that far. All right, so that's what we've got there. Yeah, seam to seam. So I'm going to press this now. When you're doing clothes, or when I'm doing clothes, what I would tend to do is press it open. There you are, look. Open seams. And on the other side, we've got a nice sort of finish there. Okay. So I don't need that pin anymore. Let's get rid of anything sharp that I don't need. Okay, so next little bit then, what I want to do is get the collar on to the top here. So I'm going to find the centre bit. All right, there's
the middle.
Centre. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to put a pin in through there so I know. All right, there you are. And here the centre of the yoke. So let's put those seams together, look. If I sort of finger press that, I'll have a little crease. Okay, and then crease to crease there. So that is going to give me my centerpiece. All right, put that in place. So then working at this, let's have a look at it. It's going to sort of come along. We're going to have a little bit of a space there. Okay, it's really important that you keep that because that's where the facing's going to go. Okay. So I'm just going to pin that in place and I'm going to come around and check that this is the same, because if not we can sort of alter it if we need to. Yeah, there you go, brilliant. So that's the same, okay? So again, I'm going to put a pin in there and hold that in place. So I've got the collar kind of thing, all right? Before we put the collar in completely, we've also got a back shirt facing. Okay, we only need one of these. It's tricky to cut one though when you've got your fabrics doubled, so we only need one. All right, so this is going to sit and look neat on the inside and hide this seam. So the first thing we need to do really is we need to give it a little bit of a sort of an edge there, and it can be a little bit awkward trying to stitch and fold at the same time. So what I'm going to do is go to the iron and just sort of press and fold this under a little bit. Okay, see what I've done here? I've just turned it under once. And then on the other side, so you've got a nice neat edge. So let's put this in. Stitch around. Don't think you've got to go as quick as this. You take your time. If you've got to slow it down completely, it doesn't matter. Okay. So that's my back facing. Now again, if I find the middle of that, and what I want to do here as well, I want to just give it a little bit of a fold over because I want to have a little bit of a seam there. You see, like that? Okay, I'm just going to go and iron that. There we go. So I've got that folded in, see, and I've got that stitched nicely. And now when we've done this, on the inside, you're going to want to see that. So how would we do that? Let's have a look. If we do it this way, you see when it comes back round, it's going to go like that. So it's facing. So let's find that middle bit again. so it's facing there. And again, let's put that pin in. Now, if you think this is a little bit tricky and there's a lot of pieces going together here, what you can do is you could stitch this one, or you could tack it in place first, so you know, because look, I've got to shape that round, just so you know everything's going to work together. All right. But you know, if you think you're happy doing it as it is, you see, look, I've got that fold there. Actually, if I put a clip in place there, so I've got that. So you know, as long as you've got everything clipped in and everything where it should be, you'll be fine. Okay, it's just funny shape, and because we're working kind of small, have another clip, John. We'll have a clip there. Yeah, put that in place too. Okay, so here we go. Now take your time with this, because there are pins and all sorts of things going on. So what I'm going to do, look, I'm going to put my needle in on that first bit of that collar, and I'm going to slow it right down, take my pin out. And first things first, look, is put a little bit of a stitch in there to hold it. So then the next integral part is this curve here. So again, follow it round. Notice I'm going really slow, and I'm shaping it rather than pulling it. Okay, see that? I just need to flatten that. Okay. Then I'm going to stop again, and then I'm going to check I've got the next bit. All right. Keep my finger on it. A good one. And around we go. Okay, so I've done a little bit at a time. Then the next bit. So here we go. I'm going to come around here. Let's just shape that in place. And I'm going to follow the curve. All right. You see, nice and slow. No rush. Take your time. So when I get to this bit, once that's sort of in there, I can stop again, and I can just make sure that I've got my pins out of the way, and I can bring my collar in just onto that edge there. Okay. And then you go back stitch. So that's that bit. So at this point, this is why I've got this pinned here ready, because what I want to do is I can bring this up now. I'm just going to move the collar out of the way, see? And I can bring that up in place. So that's going to sit there. All right. Now, you can do this in one piece, but I think if you've never done it before, let's just do it in two parts. So I'm going to stitch down here to sort of get me going, okay? See, line it up, line it up. I can go a little bit quicker with this now. Yeah, straight edge. Just means I didn't have to take it out of the machine. I didn't have to faff looking for it. Okay, coming down to the bottom. Okay, so then now let's have a look at what's going on here, because we've got lots of things. You see, that's why I moved that out of the way, so it's not going to get caught in there. So working my way up here now, what I've actually got is this piece should just sit on the edge there. So what I can do is come on back in. Let's just do a double there. And put that in place, like so. I mean, this is just one way of doing it, you know. You can actually do it any way you like. See, I'll just sort of, I could do a stitch on that in a bit. But before I turn that out. You see here, this bit here, again, I'm going to trim the corner away. All right, let's get rid of some of that bulk around that part there. You see? And then when it turns around, you see what we're going to get, look. There's a little bit of a corner, you see? Like so. So let's do the other side. And again, I'm going to do it in the same way. But again, as I say, please, if you know what you're doing, you don't have to watch me at all. Follow the instructions, and you know you'll get there. I'm just trying to make it as easy as I possibly can for you, and trying to sort of give you some hints as I go. Okay, so this bit here, look, okay, starts there. What I am going to do, I'm going to put a pin in there, because I've folded that collar piece back, and I don't want to have to mess about with it when I get to the top there. Okay. So, all the way up. There we go. That's it. No rush, you take your time with it. You don't have to go at 65 miles an hour, it's fine. But when I get to the top here, I'm going to remove that pin, see? Let's take that pin out. Okay. So this time, rather than going to the top, I've left a little gap because then I can turn it. Just make sure that that collar's out the way. There you go. Alright, so rather than doing it in two separate pieces, I can turn it, look. And then I can actually come around and do that little bit there. Just fasten it off. Alright? So again, what I'm going to do is snip that corner off. Same, you know, reduce the bulk. There we go. So then as I turn it round, you see, let's just put that stick back in. Gives it a nice neat edge. Same on this side, just to be sure. Okay, so again, as that folds underneath, you can see, look, you're going to get that yoke coming round, and that's going to sit, and you're going to get a nice sort of neat collar. So what I need to do now is go to the iron. I need to iron all this out, see, because it needs pressing properly, and I need to iron all this into one place. So let's get that done. So this looks a little bit awkward because it seems like there's a lot of it to do, but let's get that in first and do that front bit, because that's pretty easy to do, see? And then I'm going to bring it back round, look, and fold it on the back there. So that's first bit in place. So that starts to help shape it. Okay, see, you've got that lovely sort of front bit then. So if I do the same on the other side, so again, let's move all that lot out of the way. You see, in there we go. And press that out. And fold it in. Now something's nice to sort of think about as well. If I just show you this, rather than folding it so you've got the seam smack bang on the edge, what I tend to do, and certainly if you've got something going on inside, is just ever so slightly, I mean really slightly, you know, you see, like, bring it in so you've got a little bit of a lip. So that's on the inside, and it always means that you're not going to get like an unsightly kind of seam that's showing through. I'm just going to do that bit again there, and then fold it under. That bit done. So I've got the two front pieces pretty good. So now I've got to work my way around doing this. This is why we've not put sleeves and things on. We're going to do them afterwards, because you can move things around and get it so it's easy to sort of manoeuvre. All right, here we go. So following my collar around, just a little bit at a time, look. Once it's sort of in shape, it'll be fine, but it's just getting it there. I think it's the same with making any shirt really, but because this is really small, it just looks a little bit tricky. What you would do, the same shirt in the same way. Alright, this is, by the way, fabric wise, this is Riverside Row, so if you were wondering. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, look, is I'm going to bring it round. So I've got the shape, the shirt there. Give that a little iron. Let's bring that forward. Okay, that's the first little bit. Next one, it just sort of helps with the shape there. Let's bring that in, see, and around. I'm going to put that sort of shoulder seam back in place. Okay, so you see you've got kind of a shirt started, all right? It's not stitched at the side yet, but you've got your sort of your little bits and pieces there. So let's have a look now. You see where we've got this facing. Sorry, John, I'm moving you around all over the place. On the inside. So this one I've folded in, remember, this one I haven't. So you see it joins together like so. Okay, so So what I'm going to do with that is top stitch it. Now I haven't actually folded this bit in and under. You see the face on the inside? You can do. You only need a little bit if you want it to sort of be neat. Let's top stitch that in place. You can do this by hand if you want to. So that's actually attaching like the front facing and the back facing together. So same sort of thing here. And again, like just sort of fold the facing under a little bit. Perhaps going to press that first, but you know. There we go. Once you've got the needle in, remove my finger.
Yeah, you do.
I've done that the other day, shouldn't I? It tells a bit of a, yeah, there's a bit of something going on here about my finger and what I should and shouldn't have done. Absolutely. So here, look, finishing that facing again, look, I can actually go in and just do a little bit of a press. It probably will be better to do that, really. Okay. So let's just top stitch down that face here. So right on the edge. It's actually probably easier to do a full size shirt than it is to do this, with it being so small. I suppose with this you're not wasting any material, are you? Because you sort of want to give it a go. Move all those pins out of the way. Right, let's top stitch this one. So this is the inside facing. I'm just neatening that edge. Alright. Okay. So there we go. So we've got inside look, we've got a neater facing. So your choice again here, whether you actually want to do a top stitch on there or not, it's entirely up to you. But I'm going to not do top stitching. Sometimes I think it looks nice with, sometimes without. But there you go, there's your facing. And what I will do when I've done my sleeves is with the seam here, I can put a little tack stitch there and that will hold it in place with the shoulder seam. Same on this side. For now, don't need to do that. Okay, so that's that bit done. So now sleeves. And I say, we had a mirror image of sleeves. So I know I need to press that one a little bit more. So you see this one here, this bit needs to go more. See how you've got more here than here. Where you've got more here, that's the front. This is the back. So if we look at it, you see that's the front. This is the back. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I've actually got my notches marked. I've actually come out and gone a bit further into the fabric. So what I'm going to do is find that seam at the top there. You see that stitch, there you go. And then I'm going to line this one up with that notch there. See? Put a clip in. So what I'm going to do is actually sew in the sleeve first. Yeah, making sure that it all fits. I'm just going through, look, and doing a bit of a dry run. Make sure it all goes together. Okay, so see here, look, goes together there. Oh, sorry, goes together there. So that's fine. So let's just have a look at this for a minute, okay? So if I put a bit of a pin in there, you see that my sleeve, look, is bigger. So that's where the notch sits. So it fits fine from there to there. But then you see I've got all this going on. And then on this side, I've got the same. Okay? It means that I've got to gather this top bit. And it's the easiest way to do it is make your stitches a little bit bigger. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from this notch all the way around to this notch. Okay? Like so. Alright, not fastening it off. I've just done there to there, and then do a second row. Let's just move that thread out of the way. Don't cut your threads, don't sort of fasten them off. Second row, close together. It's so much easier to gather it when you've got 2 rows. You see? 2 rows, because what we can do then is if we pull both of them, see what it's doing? It's actually giving me that bit of a gather. If I do the same from this side, if you do one, it's all right, but you don't quite get the same effect. I think it always looks a bit neater if you do it with 2. Okay, got my threads. I'm going to pull that along. All right. You see, so I've got a bit of a gather going on. So now let's go back and look at putting this in place. So again, I've got my centerpiece. That's really important. You get that in the right place. So if we're going to put a clip there, and then now what I can do is work it around. I've got to find it now, Joe. There you go. So put a pin in there. See, look, I'm lining it all up. Pin in there. And follow it round. So all this, look, what am I doing? Oh, what am I doing? Start again. This is why it's nice to have some space. Okay. Okay, there's my seam. I think I was trying to put it on the wrong seam. Yes. Always the case, isn't it? You get to work it around. That's better. Okay. Pin in there. Sometimes you just have to unpin it all and go again. You see, I'm all right up to there, and then I've got these gathers. So I want a few more. See, I can see now from here where I'm going and what it needs there. And the same on this side. So find the end bit. Pop a pin in. Again, see, I can work, I'm okay from there to the notches, and then I've got the gathers there. All right, so here we go. Got it. So making sure that it's lined up in there. Now I'm going to slow it down, okay, because we don't want to sort of overdo this too quickly. So let's have a look, because you've got to look at where your fabric is and where your seam. See, you want them together. So it doesn't matter what's going on around you, where it is, where all the rest of the fabric is and everything else. You're concentrating on the most important bit, which is the bit that's right in front of you here, okay? You see there, from there to there. So take your time with it. And when you get to the point where you think, right, okay, done that little bit, then move into the next section. Okay, because we're working around some sort of curve, it's a little bit trickier to follow it through, okay? So work in small sections. Alright, notch to notch. So then this one, making sure again, look, it's all lined up, see? There you go. And follow the shape. Sort of join that. Now I'm not going to do both sleeves, I'll just do one and then you can see how they go. So see, look, you've got a little bit of gathering at the top there, just a little bit. Now you see I can see my sort of, my little bits of tacking stitches, that's what they were. I can unpick them, so don't worry about that if you you need to get them out. And because they're quite big and they're gathered, they're going to be really easy to remove, so that's fine. So next little bit then is I would put the other sleeve in, of course, and then come in on the inside. You see there, look? So I can sort of start to see the shape forming, okay? So what I'm going to do is start at one end of the sleeve, come all the way down to underarm, turn it round and go to the bottom. So here we go. side to side, look, and I'm going to start with that, put that under the machine, and then I've got it attached so I can then come and have a look at where my seams are going to be here. Okay, got hold of those. Again, if you feel that you've got a pin and tack it, it's fine. So I'm not worried about anything else, it's just about that. It's sort of getting them two together there. Alright. All the way along. Stop at the seam. Turn my machine, and then I can join up the side seams. And then stitch down. Okay, let's have a little look at that. You see, I've got all the way along and all the way down there. So if I turn that around now, this is the tricky bit without that finger. So I've got my little sort of front facing bit going on there. Sleeve coming out there. Alright, until it's pressed it always looks a bit awkward. There you go. Alright, so that's the front of the sleeve. The back of the sleeve, you've got that placket in place. Okay, so I'm just going to go and iron that. That's a look. You see it? So you've got your piece going in there. Looks like so. That folds under. And there you go. So you've got your shirt, you've got your sleeves. So again, you would do both sleeves at the same time. I'm just going to do one to show you. There it is, look. Okay, so far so good. So okay, coming to your cuff, I say it's a real small area now. So it depends on how sort of comfortable you are getting this under the machine. But probably hand stitching is the ideal. I'm just going to pin that in place because I don't want that coming back on itself there. So cuffs. Ideally, you want to be, if you're going to hand sew it, what you would do is you would fold all the sides in. So you've got a seam, give it a good press, fold it in half, and then you can slot, it won't be that way around. You can slot your piece in, see, and you can stitch it. So you get a little cuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to machine stitch the first part, and then I turn it round and hand stitch it. You see, you've got a bit of a fold there as well. So let's just do a dry run. This is my fold bit, you see, so it's sort of hanging over. Now what it's going to do is it's going to kind of start there, and it's going to work its way around. And I see how the cuff, well, what have I done here? Or do I need to double it? Okay, don't worry. Plenty cuff there. I can trim it. Okay, so I'm going to trim that off. So first things first, into there. So you see the placket bit here, that's going to sit on the inside. So if I pin that, so I've got that in place. And then as I work my way around, you see, it's going to actually sit, there you go, onto the whole placket piece. Okay, so it's going to go inside. So yeah, I know what I'm doing. Okay, so putting this in place, again, I've still got my pin in, and I'm going to sew, I'm going to put my needle right in there, foot down, I'm going to take the pin out. Okay, just do one stitch. Alright, go back. So I've got that in place. So now what I've got to do is get the rest of it, and you see, because you've only got this like in a roll now, you've got to see where it's going, so bits at a time. So again, nice and slow. Alright, and then you can work it round a little bit. So you're only going to be able to move bits at a time, nice and slow. And again, like, bring it round, nice and slow. Okay, and same here, see I can trim that a bit because I've got a little bit extra. I'm going to trim that bit off. I'm going to fold that in place like so. Or do I need to? I'll just sew to the end. so what I've actually got there is a little bit hanging off there and a little bit hanging off there. So that's my little seam. So if I bring that now forward, like so, you see I've got a nice sort of neat cuff shape there. And then on the inside, what we can do is fold this bit over the top of that seam. So you see you get a nice thing. Oh, actually fold that bit in first, like so, and fold that over. All right, let's just do that so it's nice and neat. So on the inside, you're going to hand stitch through there. So if you want to top stitch it, but it's really tricky. And then on the other side, look, you're getting that lovely sort of little design or that little cuff going on there. So it's kind of small, but it depends on how confident you are and whether you actually want to hand stitch or whether you want to machine stitch it. Okay. I think sometimes a little bit of hand stitching, I know we don't all like it, but it just looks better. It looks finished. You see, folding it under, look. And when I get to this end, fold that in, fold that over. Okay. Like so. I'll put another one. Get the clip there. You see? So then if I turn that round, that's going to sit. Well, it's giving me all couple of clips. But that sits inside there. I'll show you actually on Macensi's in a minute. So you see you've got that lovely sort of neat finish on that side there. So if you look at Macensi's here it is, look. So if I just undo that press stud, see you've got that little placket, look where it's gone inside the cuff. See, look, I've not finished that very nicely, have I? And then on here, look, you've got the other side, the press stud, so it sits inside. Sorry, Macensi, there you go. So actually it's the press stud that's holding, not the button. So you see you've got that lovely little sort of piece there that fits. So that's that. I say I would hand stitch that, but I'm not going to sort of do that live. You don't want to sit watching me hand stitch a little cuff together, do you? So of course I would do the same with the other. There it is. So that's one side done, and of course you would do the other in the same way, and then the sleeve would be on there. So of course your collar comes down, that's all pressed in, and you can have a little bit of a fold out if you want to. Okay, it's lovely, isn't it? So last thing to do is the hem. Now again, because the hem's got a bit of a curve to it, I would suggest probably that you press it first. You see I've got a little bit of facing there. I'm just going to trim that off. So I'll just show you how to do that, and then it's a case that you put your own press studs in. What I've done with Macensi's, again, it's worth looking here, is I have used press studs, you see on the inside, and they are what's holding it together. The actual button is just for show. So rather than having sort of nothing there, it just looks kind of nice. So I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to press this so you can see it. Alright, so you see once that's in and under there, you see you've got a lovely neat edge all the way around. Yeah, and on the inside, look, you've got this little bit of a seam. It just helps to give you a little bit of an easy round. So once I've done both sides of it, I would then go around and top stitch that. If you want to be even neater, then I'd do it, you know, fold it again, do a second row. It doesn't really need it. And then of course, hand stitching the cuffs in place. But other than that, I think we're all done, honestly. I hope that's covered a few little bits and pieces for you. And I apologise about the yoke at the beginning, but I've showed you how to do that. So whether you want to add it or not, it's up to you. Of course, doing the cuffs, yeah, it's a little bit of hand stitching, but I do think in the end, in the long run, it's worth it. And other than that, all done and sorted. Of course, if you wanted to do short sleeves, you could actually cut a little bit off and do a little bit of a cuff here. So if you wanted to do something for summer, certainly, you know, if you've got your Macensi's a girl, you might want to add a little bit of lace around it and things like that. There's all sorts of things you can do. But I hope that that's covered and given you enough information to be able to now finish your clothing for Macensi. Of course, the dungarees dead straightforward, and I did actually demonstrate that on Sewing Street when it was on, so you can go back and look at that. So that's covered everything that you need to know. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and good luck. You'll be fine. Just take a deep breath, little bits as you go, and of course you can always unpick it, so don't worry about things like that. Be careful though when using sharp objects. Certainly,
Rotary cutters.
Yeah, rotary cutters in particular, but you don't need one for this, so you're fine. So okay, enjoy. Please post your pictures when you've done. I would love to see all these Macensies and what you're going to do with them. The ones I've seen already, they just look so different, and there's so many of the characters coming out already. So yeah, enjoy it, have a little bit of fun with it, and don't stress about it. If there's anything else and you're not sure, just message me and ask the question, and I'll do my best to help. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I mean, luckily, look, we've done a whole hour. We've not been cut off the internet, nothing like that. We've been absolutely fine. So I will go ahead and finish this, and I'll post a picture of it when it's done. And okay, have a lovely afternoon. Enjoy your weekend, what's left of it, and I'll catch you all soon. So take care, everybody, and I'll see you. Bye.